Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, where today is Monday night when I go through all my comments on YouTube and see what you guys are talking about and to see what my next video topic should be on. And I have a burning hot topic that I want to introduce with this fella. Lovely comment here. Amazing video as always, but what incarnation is a Zeta? What incarnation indeed? And that's not just the only person who's asked this question. A lot of people I've noticed lately have been asking a lot of questions. The number of Zeta videos have increased, not just from me alone, but from other YouTubers, and we usually take for granted that not everyone knows what a Zeta mat is because it is a very advanced endgame mechanic, and not many people will see that until they get into their level 80s. So to answer all these questions I've been getting lately, what we are doing today is, first of all, we will talk about what is a Zeta mat, what's its purpose in this game, when can you start using Zeta mats, and lastly, how do you farm Zeta mats, because that is the most important question in my opinion. So hope you guys enjoy the video, sit back, relax, and let's get right into it. So we open up our conversation with the big question, and that is, what is a Zeta? And all it is, guys, it's just an additional layer of ability mats in this game. And in case you don't know what I mean by ability mat, it's essentially the materials you need to increase the character's level. As you know, you can take a character's level and increase it to level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we have a ladder of ability mats. For example, at the very bottom, we have the green ones. That's the most basic one in the game. After that, you have blue. Following that, you have purple. Then afterwards, you have the Omega mat. Some people like to call them gold, but the technical term is Omega. And lastly, you have the Zeta mat. So those are the king in the game, and they are on top of the ladder. The next question you might have is, what do Zeta mats do, and what's just their overall purpose in the game? And pretty much what Zeta mats are is that they unlock some of the most powerful abilities in the game. For those of you who play Pokemon, for example, you have your Charmander, you want to get him to Charizard because that is when some crazy stuff can finally happen. And not every character in this game has a Zeta ability as of now, but it's suspected that more will come into the game, gain an additional level to their abilities as we get more characters and as the game becomes more advanced. With that being said, not every character has a Zeta upgrade. Their max is just the Omega, and there's nothing beyond that. But I suspect as the game becomes more advanced, we get new characters, the developers will probably add that extra layer where you can apply Zeta mats. For example, Kylo Ren never had a Zeta upgrade before. After his rework, the developers entered in some new upgrades which required Zeta ability materials, and that really changed how the character operated, and Kylo Ren is one of the best characters in the game as of now. Same story goes for Boba Fett. But to help you understand how drastic Zeta mats are in this game from before, let me explain this to you. I'll give you an example of Qui-Gon Jinn. Before he had any Zeta upgrade, the most he ever had when you gave him his Omega mat, it only allowed him to give plus 25 speed to all Jedi allies. Very basic, plain Jane. However, after the Zeta upgrade, there is a huge change of events, and it looks like an essay now when you read it. First of all, Jedis now get 30 speed on top of what they already have, plus they gain offense equal to 3 times their speed and gain foresight for 2 turns at the start of each encounter and anytime a unit is defeated on either side of the battlefield. And this is a huge difference. It takes a very basic ability and it makes it very advanced, and Qui-Gon Zeta is one of the most advanced and best leaders in the game as it stands right now. Well, now you might be asking yourself, well, why do we want Zeta mats and why do we even add these Zeta abilities in the game? They are crazy powerful and it just changes everything drastically. Well, here is why pretty much, at least from my point of view. Instead of doing a complete overhaul of a rework like Kylo Ren and Boba Fett, which probably does take a lot of time to just rework someone from the ground up, the developers can instead just renovate a character ever so slightly by upgrading one of their abilities, and it does create a lot of good stuff without having to completely rebuild the whole character. It's like, for example, if your living room needs an upgrading, you have some shaggy carpets, you don't knock down the whole building just to do that. You instead just renovate that particular room, and it makes the house just look a lot better and generally increases the house's worth overall. So essentially, Zeta mats are just another way of creating a mini rework, and it's very good because it creates a lot of variety in Arena nowadays. You see Captain Phasma Zeta, Qui-Gon Jinn Zeta, Darth Maul Zeta, Darth Vader Zeta. You even see characters like Captain Rex doesn't have a Zeta, but he counters a lot of the Zetas we have nowadays. So how do you know if a character has a Zeta ability? And there are a lot of ways of doing this, mainly through doing research, watching videos on YouTube like myself and from other people who play the game, and the big one is reading the official forum post from Electronic Arts. Link will be down below in the description, as well as the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes Reddit page. I'll also leave a link down below. A lot of people talk about that stuff, especially the developers releasing the notes for new characters, new reworks, new Zeta abilities, so it's always good to read that. But my most favorite tool is going to swgoh.gg. They have a page that exclusively shows all of the characters that have Zeta upgrades in the game. They tell you what level you can unlock it at, what you need, what it does, all that amazing stuff. So I will leave a link down below in the description for that as well, so you can see all the characters that have Zeta upgrades as of now. And lastly, just by going in the character menu, you can use the built-in game navigation to see what you have going forward. However, if you're only level 1, you can't just see the last one and see if that's a Zeta ability, so it's not as clear, but using swgoh.gg is my personal favorite. And before getting into our last topic, I want to answer the question of when can you start equipping Zeta mats to characters. Generally, you need to be level 82 or 84 and have your characters at level 82 or level 84, depending on the ability that has the Zeta upgrade, is when you can start applying those Zeta mats to characters. And in total, to upgrade a character from their Omega to their Zeta ability, you will need 20 Zeta mats, 13 Omega mats, and 30 purple ability mats. So now that we have all that preliminary stuff out of the way about what a Zeta mat is, now you kind of want to know, how do you farm Zeta mats? And there are only two ways in the game nowadays that you can farm Zeta mats. The first method is through Fleet Arena shipments. For 2,000 fleet currency, you can get 1 Zeta mat. The second way is through the ship ability material challenges, and that is the way I highly suggest you try to work your way up to, as we will talk about in a few moments. The main goal you guys really want to start heading for are the ship ability material challenges, and to be more specific, you want to get to the highest level of that particular challenge. You guys may be familiar, we already have a normal ability mat challenge where you can get your Omega mats, get your purple, green, blue mats that you use for characters. This challenge is to get ship ability mats, but they also tie in the Zeta mats in there, so it kind of incentivizes you to start getting active in the whole ships aspect of the game. Now, the only thing holding you back, as I've kind of alluded to already, from getting these Zeta mats from the challenges is that you need 8 5-star ships, and you also need a 5-star Grand Moff Tarkin fleet commander. And these 8 ships, they can be a combination of light side and dark side. However, what you will need in order to get that 5-star Grand Moff Tarkin are 5 4-star dark side ships. And to farm all these ships, there's a lot of ways you can farm ships. What I did personally is that I went into the Fleet Arena, farmed some ships there, as I'll tell you in a few moments, and going to Galactic War, where you can also farm ships. And through the combination of those two, you really just want to try to work your way to getting your ships to 5 stars. Normally for characters, I recommend just focusing on one character from a particular shipment and just keep going with them until you're 7 stars. However, with ships, since the ships kind of drop randomly, you kind of want to just work on several ships at once so you can get several ships to 5 stars. That's the goal here. You don't need to worry about 7-star ships just yet. Just get several to 5 stars at once. And then pretty much once you have your Grand Moff Tarkin to a 5-star fleet commander, and then you have your 8 ships with any sort of alignment, as long as they're at 5 stars, you are pretty much good to go with your ship ability challenge farming. Now the luck, it's kind of all over the place. Sometimes you'll get no Zeta mats, sometimes you'll get 1, and if you're super lucky, it's happened to me twice in the past couple weeks for sure, you can get 2 Zeta mats just from 1 battle. The other method is the fleet shipments method. Now fleet shipments, as I said earlier, you will need 2,000 fleet currency to get 1 Zeta mat, and you need 20 Zeta mats in order to finally give someone that Zeta ability upgrade. So what I recommend doing, if you're level 60, you just unlock ships, don't ignore ships. And a lot of people make the mistake where they just ignore ships and they just kind of take their 800 fleet currency every day and they just get the Zeta mat. Problem is, it will take you roughly 50 days to finally get 20 Zeta mats. That is a long time, and that is very inefficient because who knows, one day ships might become a bigger thing. It's not hard to imagine that the developers can make some sort of raid out of this whole fleet thing they got going on. So when it comes to fleet shipments, what I really recommend and try to urge people is not to just ignore ships completely and just farm the Zeta mat in the shipments. You really want to try to farm your ships from Galactic War and get some of the good ships from arena shipments. For example, I did the long route of getting Darth Maul, Boba Fett, Poe Dameron. Those are 3 ships that are only found in that particular area of the game, the fleet arena that is, as well as characters like Captain Rex. They are fantastic, and you really want to try to get those characters because they are great for arena, great to 3-star the ship ability challenges, and they're just great ships because we don't know where ships are heading to. It's not hard to imagine that the developers might create some sort of raid, get some sort of exclusive character that is hidden behind the raid, so do not ignore the ships in its entirety. Well, let's say now that you have your 8 5-star ships, you're able to do the ship ability challenges to get your Zeta mats. Well, what should you do at that point? Well, I'll tell you what I do at that point. What I'm doing right now, I farm my Zeta mats from the ship ability challenges, and if I get some, that is great. However, what I also do is I still continue to farm hardcore in the Galactic War shipments. That is the easiest place to farm your ships. You get 1200 Galactic War currency every day, and you have enough to buy several blueprints of ships. So keep doing that. But when it comes to fleet arena shipments, because that is a lot more valuable stuff in there, what I do is I exclusively only use my blueprints for characters like Boba Fett's ship, Darth Maul's, Captain Rex, and Poe Dameron. When their blueprints show up, I'll go ahead and purchase them. However, if I don't see any of those blueprints for several days and I save up to 2,000 fleet currency, I will then go and buy that Zeta ability mat, because it doesn't do you too much good to just stockpile the fleet currency. So once I hit that 2,000 threshold, I'll go ahead and get a Zeta mat. But along the way, if I see Boba Fett, Darth Maul, all those ships I just mentioned, that's when I will go and get their ship out of there, because they are amazing ships. With this method that I've shown you, which is completely free to play, you don't need to spend a dime to get a lot of Zeta mats, just good strategy. At this point, I have 2 characters Zeta, that is Darth Maul, Darth Vader, and I have 20 more saved up, plus some on top of that, but I'm saving that in case something really good comes into the game, I can jump on it right away. If you exclusively relied on fleet shipments, that would take you forever. That would take you over 100 days easily, and it's taken me way less to get this many Zeta mats. But there you have it, guys. Hopefully this video is helpful. This is something to really look forward to because it really does change the pace of the game, and it makes it a lot of fun once you have possession of these ability mats. As always, if you have a question that's bothering you and a lot of people are asking, I can make a video like this to quickly explain to you guys what that question is all about. And if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe, and we will talk again soon. Peace out.